You know, for some, it's the most wonderful time of the year. For Alabama football, it's a bitter BCS disappointment. Can Nick Saban rally his troops for a bowl game? And will he be around next year to coach the Tide? We'll discuss it all on Tider Insider TV next.
Go inside the Crimson Tide. Tider Insider TV with Rodney Orr and Gary Harris.
We'll call it the nightmare scenario for Alabama fans. The Auburn Tigers raised the trophy in the Georgia Dome Saturday night. They're the SEC champions following a 59-42 win over Missouri. With Michigan State's win over Ohio State, the Tigers' good fortune continued, and they'll play for the SEC's 8th consecutive BCS championship. And good evening, everybody, and welcome in to Tider Insider TV, presented each and every week by Buffalo Rock. Alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, I'm Gary Harris. Once again tonight, Rodney, Buffalo Rock's providing us with, I'm with the diet route. Yeah, I'm telling you what, I picked up a few pounds on my girlish figure for the holiday.
You froze this one. It's froze.
I did.
Frozen.
Got a little ice cube. Got to like that. So, all right, let's talk what we're here to talk about, though, and that's Alabama sports. Rodney, nothing went the way Bama fans wanted it to on Saturday, did it? But there is a light at the end of the tunnel for the Tide. They'll still be in a BCS bowl game. Alabama accepted a bid to the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans on January 2nd. Their opponent is the Oklahoma Sooners of the Big 12. They'll come in 10-0, or 10-2, I should say, on the year, having just knocked off Oklahoma State in the annual Bedlam game. Though disappointed, the players say this Sugar Bowl is an exciting opportunity.
To play against Coach Stoops is kind of just a dream, because I grew up watching him coach, and him and Coach Saban, and to be a part of this game is it's going to be pretty awesome.
We've been there before, kind of know what to expect and like places we're going to go, things like that, where we're going to practice. So for the most part, a lot of the guys that's on the team been to the Sugar Bowl already. So man, we just got to make sure that we go out and execute the right way. So just like we did throughout the whole season, just finish strong.
It's definitely special in my career there because you know, my family get to come. You know, instead of traveling all the way to Pasadena, you know, it's right there next to them, so they get to come to that, and that's a blessing for me at the same time. But you know, it's another game for us. We got to go out and prepare like any other game, and you know, go out and enjoy it.
And what a history it is for the Tide in New Orleans. Of course, the last time they were there, it was the BCS championship game, 21-0 victory over LSU. Now, this will be Alabama's 14th Sugar Bowl appearance, and they've got a good record in those games, 8-5. But the last time they were in the Sugar Bowl, it was a loss to Utah, 31-17, following the 2008 season. And a big reason for the letdown that year, Rodney, was the Tide missing out on the BCS championship game and on winning an SEC title. They lost to Florida in a heartbreaker in Atlanta after going 12-0 during the regular season. Now, once again, this year, Bama saw an opportunity slip through its fingers on the final Saturday of the regular season, and we've got much more coming up on that. But right now, I want to talk to you about this situation with Alabama. Following 2008, they had the Andre Smith situation, and they just didn't seem as prepared and focused as we're used to seeing Alabama seeing. Utah jumped out 17-0 and went on to win that football game. Are you worried about a repeat this time against Oklahoma?
Well, first of all, in that game, too, you have to remember, again, Andre Smith missed the game. He was suspended, as we all remember. But the offensive line was basically turned into a debacle. Mike Johnson got hurt. You know, you had to play a lot of guys that hadn't played and in different positions. So, and again, I think coming into that game, Alabama had lost, obviously, a lot of incentive and motivation after the loss to Florida, because Alabama had been #1 in the country and was, you know, certainly looking for bigger and better things. But again, I don't see it in this game. That's your question. I'll tell you why, Gary. I think there's a lot of leadership. I think when you're talking about a guy like A.J. McCarron, the all-time winningest quarterback here at Alabama, C.J. Mosley, a lot of leadership there, guys, seniors that have won a lot of football games. They want to go out. They want to end their career on a positive note. Obviously, the Auburn game left a sour taste, and I really believe these guys will be motivated against Oklahoma.
All right, there is a look at the other BCS games on the lineup, and of course, the top one on the docket is Auburn, going for its second national title in the last 4 years. The Orange will pit Clemson versus Ohio State. The Fiesta will have UCF versus Baylor. Yawn. Not really. It should be an exciting game, but not a lot of national appeal. And in the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl will pit the Pac-12 champion against the Big Ten champion. That's Stanford and Michigan State. Well, we've got much more coming up on the show, including your calls and emails. When we return, we'll talk some recruiting notes. Alabama lost a commitment this week, but they gained one last week. His name is Jaren Reed. We caught up with this young man this week, and he talked about his commitment to the Tide. How fast will he see the field in Tuscaloosa? That's next. Also, Tider Insider TV will be taking your phone calls and answering your emails. You see the number there coming up on your screen, how you can get in touch with us as you always do at 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. We've got that and much more coming up on Tider Insider TV. You can drop us a line at Twitter as well. We're starting that account, hashtag Tider Insider TV, with your thoughts or a question, and we'll check that. Stick around. You're watching the show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, the one, the only Tider Insider TV, presented by Buffalo Rock. And we're back on Tider Insider TV, a big-time commitment for the Tide last week, and I do mean big, literally. Jaren Reed, a defensive lineman from East Mississippi Community College in Scuba, picked the Tide over Florida, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and others. He's a big guy who's expected to contribute early on next season in Tuscaloosa. Now, Rodney, this is a guy got a lot of experience, a year at prep school, 2 years in the junior college ranks. I use this term with some of these guys, but he is really a grown man. We know you got to have defensive linemen in the SEC. What does this commitment mean to the Tide class of 2014?
Well, first of all, it gives him a guy that's experienced in terms of on the level of the junior college. And, you know, Gary, one of the top junior college defensive linemen in the country. You may remember last year, late in the recruiting process, Alabama was in on Jaren Reed quite heavily. He ended up signing with Florida. He was hoping to graduate from junior college early. He didn't quite make it and returned to East Mississippi this year, helped them to another national championship, and, you know, now committed to Alabama. And again, Gary, he's got the ability to play several positions inside. I think you're going to see him once he gets here. He's about 310, 315 range now. He'll probably lose some weight and become a guy that's really quick, can play the 5 technique, can play inside too. So at the 3 technique. But again, Gary, gives Alabama some versatility and athleticism up front, and also that, you know, the strength and power too.
All right, Ronnie, it sounds like versatility is this young man's strength, among other strengths, like a big-time bench press as well. Well, Jaren also has another thing in common with his future coach at Alabama. He's already a national champion. East Mississippi won the junior college national title this past Sunday, and we caught up with him to get his thoughts on committing to the Crimson Tide.
Man, yeah, it's great, man. Great to finally, you know, find a home, find somewhere I can go, you know, really focus on the game.
Why Alabama?
You know, just great opportunity, man. Love the coaching staff, you know, everything they have going on there, you know, it complements East Mississippi to me. You know, I feel like someone, you know, I become a better person, you know, still excel.
Talk about your road to this. I mean, you went through high school and then Hargrave and then coming here, and now you're going to go play for the premier college football program in the country. I mean, that's got to make you feel pretty good.
I mean, yeah, it does. You know, it's just all just part of staying humble, you know, and never giving up, you know, and keep striving. You know, it's been a long, hard road. You know, it's really deserved.
Well, Reed, the latest to join an already strong defensive line class led by Deshaun Hand, the #1 ranked high school player in the country by some services. Now, most recruiting services, if not all, have Alabama currently rated with the top class in the country. There you look at some of the most recent commitments in terms of the defensive line, Rodney, and this is a class. Let's start with these defensive linemen. We know that that's always a priority at Alabama, and you look at those guys right there. That shapes up to be a pretty good group.
It shapes up to be a great group, Gary, when you look at them, and I think it's going to get better, and I've said that on TiderInsider.com. I think, you know, don't be surprised if DJ Petway, the former Alabama star, was a defensive end, teammate of Jaren Reed's at East Mississippi Community College. I think you're going to see him probably return. I think also you'll see Matt Elam, the #1 nose tackle in the country, according to some people from up in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, 6'5", 372 pounds.
Wow.
And a lot of people think, Gary, he's a guy that potentially is better than Terrence Cody. He has more athleticism, and I think it's going to be a tremendous defensive line class.
All right, here's the latest commitments for Alabama outside of Reed. And you know, we lose one this week in Calvarez Basent, cornerback from over in Georgia, flipping to Auburn. But let's look at these guys, and let's start with Hootie Jones. Alabama wants a lot of defensive backs in this class, and this guy plays corner in high school. could play either way in college, but projects as a safety. Boy, he's a guy that brings a lot to the table.
He does, and you look at his size, he's 6'2", Gary, he's almost 215 pounds. He's a guy that against some of these spread teams, he could actually be like one of those hybrid safety linebacker types, and as you mentioned, he is projected as a safety.
And we saw Ronnie Clark there. We profiled him before here out of Calera High School, but he's another guy facing all these spreads. One of these hybrid guys. Could play linebacker, could play safety. And you got to have those guys in this day and age, as we've seen with these teams. I mean, you can't run on defense. You got no chance.
Yeah, much like Hootie Jones, you know, when you talk about that. And again, I think Alabama's going to also get another outstanding safety here, Gary, and not too long from Meridian, C.J. Hampton. I won't be surprised if he flips from Ole Miss within the next week to 10 days.
All right, wow. Well, coming up next, since it's a long time before January 2nd, we're running down Alabama's postseason award list. We already know about a couple of award winners. We'll talk to one next. And don't forget to go ahead and give us a call here on the program if you want to get through and talk with Rodney about Alabama football. Myself as well, 205-348-9882. There's the email address. And we've added a Twitter handle, #TiderInsiderTV. Our producer, BJ Milliken, will be checking that. We want to hear your thoughts and also get your questions from email and Twitter on as well. Stay with us. You're watching Tider Insider TV, and we're coming up with more right after the break. Welcome back to TITV. Alabama players already getting much-deserved recognition for the season. C.J. Mosley won the Butkus Award, presented to the nation's top linebacker on Sunday night. And Monday, A.J. McCarron took home the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. Now, they both spoke about how much winning these prestigious honors mean to them.
Just to fall in the history of all the great QBs they've had in the past. And to be a part of that group is an unbelievable honor, and I can't thank them enough again. And I want to thank my teammates and Coach Saban for making this all possible. It's been an awesome 5 years, and stuff like this is the reason why you come here, and it pays off in the end.
I was very shocked, especially to see them come to our banquet. But just seeing my parents back here in the back talk to them, I didn't even think about it. But half my family's from Chicago, so my dad, my uncle, and mother grew up watching him, and for them to be happy to be having just not for me to win an award, but for them to meet somebody that they grew up watching as an idol is it's a big honor for me. So I get blessings and my family get blessings. That's what it's all about.
And here's a look at what's still out there. A.J., of course, is off to New York this weekend as one of the Heisman finalists. He'll be the third player in the Nick Saban era to make the trip to Times Square. He's also up for the Maxwell Award and the Davey O'Brien Award as well. All right, Rodney, it's time to take some phone calls. Let's get right to it. First up, our good buddy Joseph in Tuscaloosa. Hey, Joseph, what's up, my man?
Hey, Rodney, what's up, partners? How y'all feeling today?
Tell me, partner. Tell me what's going on.
Hey, tell me about the Alabama versus Oklahoma. It's been a long time since we played them. The last time we played was during the regular season. The season was on probation. But you think we're going to be ready to whoop them this time?
You know, I think they need to be ready, Joseph. I'm going to tell you why. First of all, Alabama should have some incentive, even though Nick Saban wasn't here. You mentioned 2002, 2003. Oklahoma won a pair of regular season meetings against the Crimson Tide, one in Norman, one in Tuscaloosa. There's a tight friendship between the Stoops family and Coach Saban. Still, though, Bob Stoops has had some comments that weren't complimentary about the SEC, and I guarantee you, their football team sees this as a great opportunity with 2 losses. They beat Oklahoma State to get in this position. They're going to be ready to play Alabama.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah. They really rallied. I thought they had a superb season based on you know what it appeared it could have been. And you look at them. I know they've struggled some at quarterback. They've had some injuries, but you know they found ways to win some games. They certainly found a way to win, you know, against a very talented Oklahoma State team that had a lot riding on that game. So again, it's certainly it's Oklahoma. They're well coached. Bob Stoops, we know that. You know, generally he's going to put a good defense on the field too. So you know, I think maybe you look at Oklahoma and you start seeing maybe they're starting to get back to where they have been, Gary, with this record that they've had.
Well, they'll be extremely motivated to play in the football game. Hopefully Alabama will be motivated as well, and I think it could be a really entertaining football game down in New Orleans the night of January the 2nd. All right, let's get to an email, Rodney. This comes to us from Hayden in Haleyville. How many running backs does Crimson Tide expect to sign in the 14 class? Not many. Bo Scarborough is currently committed. He could play a couple of positions, but let's list him for the sake of this call as a running back. Anybody else Alabama might take a...
Well, you know, there certainly is. I mean, when you look at Leonard Fournette, I think Alabama would obviously take him in a heartbeat. Some people think he's the #1 player in the country. That video looks pretty fast of Bo Scarborough right there. But anyway, Leonard Fournette certainly out of New Orleans, St. Augustine. Joe Mixon's a guy that Alabama has talked to, recruited a little bit, hasn't offered out of California, Gary. That's really a sensational back. And, of course, Rock Thomas Alabama's committed to Auburn, probably would stick to that commitment. But, you know, Alabama has recruited him too. But, you know, I wouldn't think other than Bo, possibly maybe one more if they get the right guy.
And real quickly on Scarborough, is committed but continues to look at other schools, Florida and Ole Miss, namely. Any concern that he might?
I really think that Bo Scarborough, if he has his way, wants to come to Alabama. We'll see how it all shakes out.
All right. More of your phone calls and emails right after this. Plus, it's what's on a lot of Alabama fans' minds these days, especially after the news that Mack Brown may be coming to an end, his tenure in Austin. Is the Nick Saban question on your mind? Well, we don't think he's going anywhere, but a lot of people are talking about it. We will dive into the most recent rumors concerning the University of Texas and Saban right after this. And there's still time to get your question into us. There you see the number on the screen. Give us a call. Hit us up on an email or Twitter. We have got you covered, and we're going to talk with more of you right after this on Tider Insider TV. Stay with us. We're back on Tider Insider TV. One thing we know about Coach Saban is he loves you some Little Debbie oatmeal cream pies. And Tide commit Cam Robinson knows the way to get in good with the coach. Give him a whole box when he comes to visit you on a recruiting trip. Of course, Cam Robinson also did say that Coach didn't eat all of them while he was there visiting, but gives you an idea just how big Cam Robinson is, too. Huh? More phone calls in just a minute, but Rodney, big news today in college football. Potentially, there are reports out of Texas, although Mack Brown is denying them, that he is going to step down as soon possibly as the bowl game, once the bowl game's over. Again, he's denying that, but it looks like there's a pretty good possibility that could happen. And, of course, that means, whether we like it or not, the Nick Saban to Texas rumors are going to heat back up. Just, I know you've told me on the phone this afternoon, you don't think it's happening, but go ahead and
well, first of all, I think, you know, Nick Saban has made it clear. He said on 60 Minutes, he said other places that integrity is very important to him. He thought the way he mishandled the situation with his departure at Miami was a big hit on his integrity. And now he's made comments that have clearly led everyone to believe that he plans to be here. He has no intentions to leave. Terry Saban, his wife, certainly made the same type of comments by saying they've made the decision to stay here and retire here in the Wall Street Journal report that came out a few weeks ago. And again, he's continued to say that. And you know, all you can really do is take him at his word and believe that that's what his plans are, to stay here at Alabama.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's take some phone calls. And we've got a caller on the line. Let's go to the phones and talk to our buddy Plato from that town in Alabama that I've yet to visit, Panorama, but he's always with us. Go ahead, Plato.
Hey, good evening, guys. Could you give me your thoughts on how many people we will take at the cornerback position this year, and who do you predict that we may sign?
All right, Plato, sure will. All right, Rodney, we did mention briefly Calvarez-Basant, a commitment at corner from out of the state of Georgia, flips to Auburn. Of course, let's start. He wants to know how many and who, but let's start with Marlon Humphrey, because obviously he's arguably the top corner in the country from right over here at Hoover High School, and a guy that Alabama covets.
Yeah, I think certainly Alabama has a great shot to get him. I think they will. I think when you look at him, Florida State's been in the mix too, but again, he's maybe the best covered corner in the country. He's a son of Bobby Humphrey, the former legendary Alabama running back. And, you know, I mean, when you're talking about developing cornerbacks, nobody does it for the NFL better than Nick Saban. You're only 50 minutes away. I mean, it makes sense to come to Alabama, I would think.
And Jalen Tabor from up in the East Coast in Maryland, he's still a possibility.
Well, and I know he's from Washington, D.C., Collegiate Friendship Academy up there, and I think when you look at him, you know, Gary, he's a guy that, you know, could play like a nickelback, play the corner position, and I think that Alabama and Maryland are going to end up being his top two. He makes an official visit here this weekend to Tuscaloosa, and I think that Alabama's in, you know, pretty good shape with him.
And real quickly, do you have a number how many corners you think that they would like to sign in this class?
Well, again, when you look at Basant is no longer on the list. You look at Stephen Roberts is no longer on the list. You could see that possibly they would sign maybe Jalen Tabor. We've talked about Marlon Humphrey. That would be two. And, you know, I don't know that you totally ruled out Tony Brown from the state of Texas in Beaumont, too. I think Alabama and LSU are his top two. I talked to his coach last week, and he told me that it's not a done deal for LSU like everyone said. He said Alabama, in his opinion, was certainly very strongly in the mix, so we'll see.
And keep this in mind, folks. Hootie Jones is a high school corner. It's not completely out of the realm of imagination that he could play that position at Alabama as well. All right, let's take another phone call. And this one comes to us from William in Saginaw. Go ahead, William.
Hey, guys. Yeah, my question is about Auburn's this running attack they got,
right.
This option, read option. What's the best way to stop that, and does it take a certain type of player to stop this?
All right, William, good question. I'm glad you specified Auburn because a passing spread is completely different in how to stop it. This Auburn attack is a run-first attack. As you mentioned, it's a read option. Nobody has really done a very good job of slowing it down this year. You know, Rodney, I do think it takes a different kind of alignment, a fast twitch lineman, if you will, a guy maybe who's not a 300-plus pounder, but a guy who's strong, can get off blocks and move. And as far as stopping it, I think one thing that you might see Florida State employ that maybe Alabama will look at down the road is, you know, Auburn doesn't throw it very often. On first down, they hardly ever throw it. Maybe almost like a goal line defense look on first down, huh?
Well, I mean, certainly you could, you know, and I also look at Alabama, you know, Gary, in any team, yeah, I think you've got to stop. I've said this, you've got to stop the interior runs, you know, when you're talking about defending Auburn. I think that's the first place you've got to start is stopping those interior runs. All
right, thanks for the phone calls. We're wrapping up the show. Next, we'll tell you how you can continue to be a part of the program even when we go off the air. Tider Insider TV, we'll be right back. Stay with us. Beautiful shot of Tuscaloosa on this cold December evening. We're back in a minute. And a reminder, you can see a replay of this show at your convenience. We'll have it posted soon on WVUATV.com. The Jaren Reed interview, sound with Nick Saban on the Sugar Bowl and A.J. McCarron on winning postseason awards. See it all online. You can also tweet us using the hashtag TiderInsiderTV to get a question in for next week's program. And right now, we're getting ready to go to dinner. Tonight, we're going to visit our good friends down at Dickey's Barbecue Pit on Highway 69 South near Hillcrest. I'm so hungry, can't even spit it out. Can't wait for some of that mouth-watering chicken. That's what I love. Also, as always, you see us, we're outfitted from the locker room tonight. You see my shirt and tie. You see Rodney's tie. Original elephant wear is available at the locker room. Visit them in person, located on the University Strip, or shop with them on